Typically, we recommend starting with remarketing, though. If you're going to run YouTube ads, start with remarketing first because those people are super likely to convert. And again, because the creative is sometimes tricky to get right at first, you can run that to a remarketing audience and not spend a whole lot.
This is the E-commerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Kiri Masters from Bobsled Marketing, and I do have a brand sparkling new co-presenter with me today, Brett Curry, the co-founder and CEO of Ecommerce. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you, Kiri. This is awesome. Yeah, it's a privilege and an honor. So
I was actually on your podcast recently, which is, remind me the name of the podcast again?
Ecommerce Evolution.
Ecommerce Evolution.
What's new and what's next in e-commerce? That's what we talk about.
I love it. Well, the reason why I can't remember is that you used to have another podcast, which I was an avid listener of back in the day, the Llama Commerce Show.
It's so funny. Yeah, Llama Commerce Show. Me and my buddy Kurt Theobald used to host that together. And it's still on YouTube. So like the show's no more. Kurt and I are friends. We don't do the show together anymore. It's still there. There's some really goofy moments in that show. Some really odd moments and then some great moments too. So I was actually, someone mentioned it and I went back and looked at a couple of videos and a couple of head scratching moments there, but it was fun and we learned a lot. And I think we taught people some things for sure.
Well, I think the name for me was so memorable and I used to tune in I think back then it was very common to do a podcast only every 2 weeks. These days you can't get away with that.
Yeah. You need to go weekly now. Is that what you're sensing?
Twice daily on LinkedIn.
Oh, twice daily. Man, okay, that's tough. Just Bobsled marketing people. You're the ones that can do it. I don't think I could do twice a day LinkedIn Live. I don't know if I can do it.
Welcome to the real world. So today, I wanted to have you on the show to talk about YouTube ads. And this is something that you have a lot of experience with, and I think is a generally underutilized ad type out there on the web, which is unfortunate because you were just saying before we got started that YouTube's the second most visited site on the web, and it's also the fastest growing social media platform for millennials and Gen Z. So I think, why is it flying under the radar so much for e-commerce brands? Yeah,
I think it is. I think the awareness level of YouTube ads, that's certainly growing. There are more people talking about it, which I'm super excited about. Did a course with my buddy Ezra Firestone. My friend Tom Breeze did a course on YouTube ads. There's some other people running courses as well, which is good. So I think that the conversation is going, but I think there's still some misconceptions on running YouTube ads. For a lot of people, I think there's this idea that Facebook is easier. So if I need to get up and going fast or push a holiday promotion or launch a new product, Facebook is easier for some brands, or there are more people that are familiar with Facebook advertising. So I think a lot of the dollars that could be going to YouTube are going to Facebook right now. I think there's also this misconception that there's this idea that YouTube creatives are difficult. And it is true that you have to get the creatives right, so you can't just throw an ad together and hope for the best. It needs to be a good video that hooks people and engages people and makes them want to take the next step. So that's not easy. It doesn't have to be super expensive. But it's not easy. Where I think with Facebook, you can iterate a little faster. I can throw this image up with a headline and test it. I can move on to something else. I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but I think it's more there's a perception of YouTube ads kind of hard to get going. I think that's the main hang up. I believe that's what I hear from people, kind of word on the street, or as I talk at events. And man, I'll tell you, when I'm at an event and I say, hey, show of hands, who here is running YouTube ads? It's usually like 10%. And we're talking, these are large e-commerce conferences. So,
and 100% are Facebook ads.
Yeah. I mean, something like that. Yeah. 90% plus. I mean, and the same thing goes with Google ads. Everybody's running search and shopping and probably, Google Display Network, at least for remarketing. but so few people are running YouTube ads. So that likely means your customers aren't running YouTube ads. So it gives you a potential leg up if you do it right.
Okay. So I think you touched on something that does, to me, seem a major pain point. It's different to any other ad platform, which is the creative. So if I'm going to, like you said, if I'm going to create an ad for Facebook or Google AdWords or Amazon, then I don't need to think too hard about what the creative is. I need some good product images, lifestyle images. I can play around with taglines. I can iterate, like you said. I can see which performs better and just run that ad. But making a video is a high barrier to entry for that. So what's your response to people who are put off, think that they need a big budget to go out there and create a good video ad?
Yeah. So the good news is, the encouraging thing for you is you don't need to drop a huge budget on your YouTube video creative. So you don't need to come at this with a $50,000 creative budget to get a YouTube ad created. Likely a few $1,000s will suffice. It is a little bit different though. So if you think about, I'll just use Facebook as an example, and quick caveat, I'm not a Facebook ads guy. So if I say something inaccurate or dumb, that's why I'm a Google ads guy and a YouTube ads guy. But running a successful Facebook video, you could run a video that's mainly just like honing in on one feature, and maybe it's not a complete story. It's just like demonstrating a particular feature, but then the text above it and below it, you can kind of put your call to action, tell the rest of the story, and push someone to take action. With YouTube, the video needs to do all the work, right? The video needs to kind of have a catchy opening. It needs to tell the story and have social proof and overcome objections. It needs to have that call to action, some of those things that are tied in there. So it needs to do the
whole story.
It needs to tell the story, yeah. But it doesn't have to be like TV, Super Bowl TV spot type production. In fact, that can work against you in some cases, but it has to be more than, this is my Facebook Live video that I'm just turning into a YouTube ad. That usually doesn't work either.
Right.
But I mean, all the time we see people that, have either user generated content that they kind of weave together into a YouTube ad, or it's a basic production with maybe a local production company. So I won't give the illusion that it's super easy, but it's not as hard or doesn't have to be as expensive as a lot of people think it is.
One thing I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you need to hook the viewer in within 3 seconds, because they can skip the ad after 3 seconds. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but you only get billed for that impression if people keep watching beyond 3 seconds. So is that something?
You're close. Yeah. So it's 5 seconds. So it's
5 seconds. Okay.
And then that skip ad button pops up. So you really, and you probably need to hook them a little sooner than that. If it's not until like the 5th second, they're probably hovering over the skip button and ready to click.
Yeah.
So the first 1 to 5 seconds are super important. That's when you need to either do something alarming or interesting or funny, or get right to the point, like letting people know this is what this is what this does, this is who this is for, so that you're hooking the right people. And then actually it's better than if they so in the way it's billed, someone has to watch 30 seconds of the entire video if it's less than 30 seconds. So if you're running a 15-second spot, they've got to watch the whole thing. If it's a 90-second or 60-second spot, commercial ad, whatever you want to call it, then they have to watch at least 30 seconds or you're not billed. So it's pretty powerful and that's what the format is called True View. So you're paying for actual views, actual engagements.
That's really interesting, because you could make an argument that with those people that viewed 10, 20 seconds, that you still got your brand or your product in front of them. So you're building brand awareness, but you're not paying for it potentially.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's one of the real benefits of YouTube. There's an advantage just based on performance if you get pretty targeted with your audiences. And I know we're going to talk about audiences later. But the beautiful part is if someone's not interested and they're not engaged, you don't pay a person. And that's a real advantage. That's a differentiator with YouTube ads, that differentiates it from other platforms for sure. Okay.
So 2 points to YouTube for cost effectiveness, and also the fact, based on your quick and dirty back of the napkin math, only 10% of advertisers are using it.
Yeah, exactly. So you likely your competitors are not. So get there before they do. You can do some damage if you do that. So
let's go back to creative a little bit. I know you have some examples that you wanted to share, and hopefully show us that it doesn't you don't need that $50,000 budget. It can be quite simple.
Absolutely. So actually the ones I picked, these may not be the best examples for doing it on the cheap. Like these are real, but it's still, you can take the elements of these videos, like the concept behind these videos, and you could do it on the cheap. But I'm going to show some relatively well-known examples. So one of the things that we've done is as we've viewed now hundreds and thousands of YouTube ads, and we've seen what works and what doesn't, and we break down our campaigns based on where someone is in the shopping journey. So are they in kind of the awareness stage of the shopping journey? Are they in the consideration, shopping mode? Are they really close to purchase and now they just need to be kind of pushed over the edge? Are they already a customer? Now we're just trying to get them to buy again. So kind of where they're on the journey, that's going to dictate what we do with our message. One of our favorite messages, though, and we like to give different types of videos names. So one of our favorite, and when I say we, it's one of our favorites at the agency, a video we call the manifesto, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of the manifesto. So this is where you're really trying to demonstrate why your product is different, why it's better, why there's really nothing else on the market like it. And one of the ideas we want to communicate is that the industry is broken, right? So every other product, every other approach to solving this problem is broken. So I'm going to use this is the purple mattress example. Shout out to the Harmon brothers for creating this phenomenal video. It does have some higher production quality values to it, but you can see some of the elements that really make it work is kind of the sales aspect, right? And the overcoming objections and showing how it's different. So, yep. So a couple of the elements. One, you need to kind of create this, hey, everything on the market right now is broken. In fact, the whole way the entire industry looks at solving this problem, and in this case, a good night's sleep and addressing pain points, everything else is broken, it's off, it doesn't work. And it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault, but you do deserve something better. So those are important elements. Then you also, you want to look at here's why. Here's why it's off. A little bit of science too. Maybe not so much science that it feels like we're back in chemistry class or biology or something really boring like that. But here's why. Here's some proof as to why everything else is broken and why everything else doesn't work. Then you're going to need some social proof, right? You're going to need either visual demonstrations and or social proof. So customer testimonials, experts endorsing your product, that type of thing. You also need to overcome some price objections and some things if price isn't an issue for you. So overcome price objection, overcome value objection. So think about what objections will be out there. So if we can get someone to say, okay, I'll go along with you for now and say, yeah, everything else probably is broken and your product is different. And I see that, there's some proof here that kind of validates what you're saying. But help me get over this value hump. Help me determine that, yeah, it's worth paying this price, right? And then you'd have a strong call to action. So, hey, here, check this out now. It's, with Purple Mattress, I think it's like 100 nights. You can sleep on the mattress risk-free or whatever. So some kind of call to action, some kind of risk reversal attached to that.
Guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah. There's several elements displayed beautifully in this video. You'll actually see it's about 4 minutes long. And
wow. That was going to be my question. Like, how can you pack all of those elements into one video? But
so it's more like, this is like a short form infomercial almost. That's kind of the way this looks. And again, the way you want to think about this is people can skip, right? So if I get a minute in and I'm no longer interested, I can skip it. Or if I get a minute in and I'm convinced, I can just click through to the site. But you want to keep overcoming objections. You want to keep going until you've shown enough. And typically if it's an expensive product like this is a few $1,000 or $1,000, whatever it is, you need a little more time. So a lot of the videos we're seeing that are successful, they're 90 seconds to 4 minutes. My buddy Ezra Firestone, we run all of their Google traffic. So Boom by Cindy Joseph. Their videos are 4 to 7 minutes long that are working really well. We have some short ones. So anyway, what's interesting is they use humor in some really brilliant ways. They use humor both to keep your attention, but also humor makes certain selling points easier to accept. So like, they're talking about the soft bed, right? It doesn't support you. It's like cheap sneakers or Anakin Skywalker, right? And so like they're interjecting these little bits of humor some of the humor is laugh out loud. Other points are just kind of chuckle to yourself, but the humor works, right? And then even use humor to talk about, hey, most beds cost $5,000. Ours is only $1,000. We're sorry about that. Like using humor, even if you're laughing, you become kind of less price sensitive too, which is interesting. And then I love what they did. And we could show other examples. I know we won't have time on this podcast, but the way they kind of used humor and sarcasm to overcome the objection of, well, but did you fake the test, right? Was the test just a fake? So you invented, and by the way, they did invent the raw egg test. No other mattress company. And then like who has ever gone to a mattress store and said, hey, I brought this raw egg with me. I'd like to try to sit on a mattress. Like nobody's ever thought of that. They just invented the test. Mm-hmm. But rather than saying, hey, we did this 4,000 times with all these people, independently verified, instead they used humor. They said, of course this was real, right? How lame would that be if we faked it? And you're lame for asking, right? Like even kind of turning the tables and being a little bit snarky. Humor in that case really worked. And so this is one of the best examples. And I know some of the guys that helped run this back in the day. It really helped launch this company. And so this is one of the best examples of the manifesto where we're saying, hey, everything is broken. Our product is kind of here to save the day. And as a company, we're on a mission, right? We're on a mission to help you sleep better. We're on a mission to help you have better sunglasses, or on a mission to help you have the best skincare you've ever had, that type of thing. Yeah. So that's a great example. But you could do this. I mean, you don't have all the specs, and you don't have to have a 300-pound sheet of glass dropping onto your product. It probably doesn't work for your product anyway. But you don't have to have quite this production value. But if you had a script like this, and if you interjected quick cuts like this, then, you could get, similar type of results.
Yeah, it's a really great example. And I think the Harmon brothers are one of the best known video producers for ads on the planet. So not everyone has access to them or that kind of budget. And also humor is one of the hardest things to get right.
It is because sometimes
it's very challenging.
It's very challenging. What you find funny could be offensive to some people.
Yep.
There's also
just lame.
Or lame, right? Yeah. So if a joke doesn't land, you're like, oh man, like if it's a bad pun or something, if it's kind of a groaner type ad, where like my day is worse off after I heard that can work against you. Also, if it's too funny, like if you err on the side of everything is about the humor, then it's almost counterintuitive, or then it almost works against you as well, where it's like now we're just a stand-up comedian, and now you're not making me want to buy, right? So it's got to be kind of that nice balance, which is super important. And again, it doesn't have to be super funny. It doesn't have to be laugh out loud funny. It can just be amusing, as long as it's not offensive.
Now the holiday selling season is officially here and it's time to ramp up sales. But how are you going to fund that extra marketing spend, that extra inventory, hiring extra help? One way to do that and access easy capital is through Payoneer Capital Advance. From a company I have used personally and have trusted with my international payments for the last 4 years. Payoneer's Capital Advance product is the ideal cash flow management solution for e-commerce merchants on Amazon and Walmart. What they do is extend a credit offer to you based on your store's recent sales, which you pay back gradually over time until the offer is fully settled. There's no credit checks, no collateral, and they're offering a really good rate as well. Go to paynr.co/Braintrust to learn more. Like you said, also, this was, you called it the manifesto style ad. And I can also think of scenarios where you might still use a manifesto, but it doesn't have to be funny. And so I would encourage people to think about that as well, as the humor is so hard to get right. And only, it's such a skill, but you could actually just take it back to, why do you exist as a company? What problem are you solving? Why is the system broken, like you said? And what are the guarantees or assurances that you can give a customer to make sure it's a low risk decision for them?
One of our clients does that beautifully. I could show the ad if you want, or I can just kind of talk through it real quick. But it's Coop Home Goods is the name of the client, and they sell one of the top rated pillows on Amazon. It's actually a washable, removable, shredded memory foam pillow. And so the video kind of opens with the owner, Kevin, saying, we've got a sleep problem, right? I realized I had neck pain and I tried yoga and I tried all these things that didn't work. I realized it was my pillow. So I bought a memory foam pillow. I bought one of the name brand memory foam pillows, but it was too thick. It was too stiff and it didn't help. And so I realized there were two issues. One, the pillow needed to be adjustable because we're all different. We all sleep different. And then two, it needed to be washable. And it actually talks about how you use the same pillow after 3 to 6 months. It will weigh 33% more because of all your own sweat. Because your own sweat.
Oh, that's disgusting.
So it's like that's one of those like little science nuggets where you're like, oh, I gotta go home and throw my pillow away. Now you taught me that. That's disgusting. I need a washable pillow. It's not really funny, right? There's not that much humor. He's a really pleasant guy. Like you would look at him and be like, oh, I trust this guy immediately. He's not like a, boardwalk salesman type guy.
Doesn't look like you.
Soft-spoken and stuff.
I said it doesn't look like you. Super untrustworthy. Just trying to sell me something.
Wait a minute. I don't know how to take that. I feel likable, but I'll try to dial up the likableness. Is it the beard? Do I need to shave the beard? What is it exactly that makes
I don't know what it is.
Okay, I'll work on that and some coaching and some counseling maybe too. So he looks really like just really warm and friendly. And so as he's saying these things, you believe him and the video works. It's increased sales on Amazon, increased sales on his own site as well. So you're right. The humor piece, while it's extremely effective and can really work to keep attention and help people overcome objections, it's tricky and you do need to get it right. So the direct approach can often be better.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get into some practical pieces and we'll try and wrap this up pretty soon. But once you've got your creative going and you've got a good message and you've got the call to action and everything, how do you see YouTube ads perform from a direct ROI standpoint when you, let's say, to take a step back, sorry, my apologies. Targeting is a really important piece of this as well. So you might have great creative, but if you don't have the targeting correct, then that's going to drag your performance down. I guess what I'm getting to is like that performance piece of it, but fill in the other gaps for me around targeting. Yeah,
the beautiful part about targeting on YouTube is the fact that, Google knows everything about you, right? They know your online behavior. They know what you're looking at, what you're researching right now, sites you're visiting, things like that. So the amount of intent signals and behavioral signals at our disposal when we're creating targeting for YouTube ads is vast. So there are a variety of things you can do. I'll just touch on a few. You can actually use someone's recent Google search behavior to build audience. So I don't know what you're like, Kiri, but when I'm on YouTube, a lot of times I'm just watching music videos, or maybe I'm looking at how to fix my lawnmower or something like that. But on Google, I'm shopping for whatever. I'm looking at anything and everything.
Right.
So you can actually take someone, do some keyword research for those that ever got into SEO or search marketing. Do some keyword research, build audiences of people based on what they're searching for on Google, and then you can target those people the next time they're on YouTube. So, someone who's researching a particular problem, or they're trying to find a solution to something. They're saying, hey, what do I do with a stiff neck or a sore neck or whatever, or how do I learn yoga or things like that? You can build audiences around what they're searching for on Google. You can also build what's called in-market audiences, or you can use in-market audiences. So this is based on your recent 2-week behavior. And it's basically Google saying, hey, these people, based on the sites they're visiting, based on the searches they're making, based on their online behavior, they're in the market for something. They're in the market for a new automobile. They're in the market for financial services, or in the market for skincare, hair care, whatever the case may be. So you can target those people. You can use keyword targeting on YouTube. So you can target keywords, around particular content on YouTube. So lots and lots of examples. Of course, you can layer in things like, age and demo and location and all that stuff as well. Similar audiences, which kind of Google's version of lookalike audiences, those are certainly possible as well. So we found, there's the intent signals are super strong, and there's all kinds of options with YouTube. Typically, we recommend starting with remarketing, though. If you're going to run YouTube ads, start with remarketing first, because those people are super likely to convert. And again, because the creative is sometimes tricky to get right at first, you can run that to a remarketing audience and not spend a whole lot. And if it doesn't convert for a remarketing audience, it's probably not going to convert for a cold audience either.
That's a great tip. Yeah. And how granular can you get? Let's say if you've got an online store with complementary products, can you actually decide to retarget a customer who's actually purchased with a complementary product?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So any of the audiences you can build in Google Analytics, send those over to Google Ads. And the Google Ads platform, that's where you run your YouTube campaign. So we do a lot of that, actually. We do a lot of, bought X, but not Y type campaigns. So I purchased a guitar. I did not buy a guitar case, or I bought the skin cream. I didn't buy the skin color. So targeting someone who's bought X, but not Y, and you show them Y in action. Those campaigns can be extremely affordable and very, very effective. I think one thing that people take for granted is that they say, hey, I've got great products. We have a lot of repeat purchases. I've got a decent email program. So I'm getting all I can get as far as people that have bought one product, I'm getting all I can get on getting them to buy other things. And it's just not true. So if Facebook is working for retargeting and bought X, not Y, YouTube's going to work as well, and it's likely going to reach a slightly different person. It's going to allow you to take your customer base and get more from them. So if you're not
going to reach those millennials and Gen Zs who are not using Facebook, but they're using YouTube.
Exactly. It's so interesting. Yeah, the Gen Z and millennials, it's more YouTube, Instagram, Snap, or at least several months ago, Snap.
TikTok.
For sure. Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, absolutely. I don't understand that platform at all, but it seems awesome. But the YouTube
sounds cool. Sure. I keep hearing about it.
Sure. Ask my kids or something. But yeah, YouTube and Instagram for sure. My kids, I have a senior in high school, doesn't want Facebook, right? He's all over Instagram. And of course, anything and everything he wants to learn, whether that's taking a girl out on a date or new workout or how to smell, whatever. He's looking at YouTube for that stuff, right? So anything he wants to learn or experience, he's going to YouTube for that. So yeah, that's a real benefit there is the audience and the way you can target. But start with retargeting. And so in terms of return, what you can expect, we have and we work exclusively e-commerce. We have some clients with really thin margins, other clients that maybe it's a consumable with higher margins, and there's a lot of repeat purchases that they're looking for. So, for running retargeting ads, you can see returns of 300% ROAS and plus, if you're reaching cold audiences and you want to scale. Usually for cold audiences, we're looking at more of a CPA or cost per acquisition or cost per conversion model. But, we have clients that are anywhere from, they need to hit a $20, slightly under a $20 CPA to be profitable, on up to some people need an $80 CPA. And yes, if your CPA goals are a little bit higher, that opens up more of an audience to you, right? You can be aggressive. You can really reach a lot of people if your CPA is $50 plus. But if it's in that $20 range, there's still a ton of people on YouTube that you can reach pretty affordably. So, yeah.
Very good to know. Yeah. And it sounds like there are a lot of use cases here. It's not just a one size fits all. There's retargeting, there's top of funnel awareness. I'm sure that there's use cases for direct marketing as well, direct ROI.
Yeah. And that's essentially all we're doing for our clients is we're measuring a pretty specific ROI. What we do is we're kind of putting campaigns together for our clients. We look at more of a portfolio approach, right? So we're looking at how YouTube and Google Search and Google Shopping and remarketing, how they're all working together. We have separate goals at each stage of the funnel, but we look at how they're working together. But yeah, everything we look at is direct response. Are these ads, is this campaign feeding our funnel and leading to conversions or not? So yeah, I think it's a beautiful direct response platform if you approach it the right way.
Very cool. This is, thank you so much for joining me. This is something I really knew very little about. And like you said at the top of the discussion, I think it's a very underutilized platform. And we talked about millennials and Gen Z really using this, and it's the fastest growing social platform for them. But I think it kind of transcends all demographics as well. Like you said, fixing the lawnmower, I was looking up some error code I was getting on my dishwasher on YouTube. That was the first place I went. There's specific types of content that you just use for YouTube, listening to music, like you said. It really seemed to transcend lots of generations. So it's a good overall. It's kind of like Amazon. Everyone uses Amazon.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that up. And I mentioned Boom by Cindy Joseph that Ezra Firestone owns, and we run all the Google traffic for them. They're really targeting women 50, 60 plus. And, the percentages of young people that are on YouTube is 95, 98%, whatever. But as you look at older demographics, like 60 plus, it's still like usually 60% of them are on YouTube.
Yeah.
So still the majority of them, and it's likely your customers, people that are a little more fluent, a little more savvy. Yeah, most of them are on YouTube. So the amount of reach that's there, the amount of reach is spectacular. You also there's not really a limit on inventory. You know, Facebook is really, you know, the news feed is at kind of max capacity. That's what my Facebook friends tell me. YouTube's not really running out of inventory. So there's this massive scale opportunity plus the opportunity to dig in and be very laser focused as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you for joining me again, Brett.
Thanks for having me.
Brett from OMG Commerce. And is there any like white papers or guides that you have at OMG Commerce that we can direct people to on this topic?
Yeah. So we actually, and it's almost done, but we have a guide. It's kind of our favorite YouTube ad template. So I talked about the manifesto. That's kind of what we talked about here. There's like 6 more templates where we say, hey, okay, this is kind of the structure of this template, and here are a bunch of examples. Check them out. It's a free resource. It's not our landing page is not on our site right now, but you can go to omgcommerce.com, fill out the form, and just say you want it. We'll email it to you. So just say, hey, I heard Brett talking about the top YouTube ad templates or YouTube guide or whatever. Just mention that in your form submission on omgcommerce.com, and then we'll get you the guide.
Cool. omgcommerce.com and get that YouTube ads guide. Thanks again, Brett. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Gary.
And I'll catch you around.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.